What's good? What's good? I'm back. Yours truly, one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Today I'm gonna try a new feature, and it seems to make my stream lag a little bit. So hopefully we can figure it out and whatnot. But I seen a podcaster share their screen on their cell phone on their live stream on their podcast. So I figured I could play some of my ads from my phone onto my podcast, or I could react to a tweet or pull up an article and react to that as well. So first, we're going to get into playing this Dizzle brand article ad, excuse me, not article, but ad. We're going to play this Dizzle brand ad right here from my phone onto my podcast. So let's see how this works. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's see if this pulls up, and there we go. Bam. I think I'm nice when I'm paused. I take a pause and talk. I'll drink up. Ice in it. I'll be sitting. Tropical twist. That's right. And that wasn't too bad. As you see, there goes my screen on my phone as well. So yeah, I kind of like that feature. That's not too bad. I can actually pull up articles and whatnot, pull up tweets. Yeah, so I like that. That's not too bad. All right, so don't forget, check out DizzleBrand.com below. Dizzle is a premium luxury liqueur mixed with agave, tequila, cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. If you want to order your very own bottle of bottles of Dizzle premium luxury liqueur, go to DizzleBrand.com, click on our locations, click on one of the top 3 website links. I recommend Emilio's Beverage. Must be 21 and over. Shipping and handling is included. Below that's locations in California, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas as well. And the Dizzle brand merch. Let me stand up, show you one of the t-shirts. You got the Dizzle established 2001 t-shirts available on DizzleBrand.com as well. And Etsy.com. Just search for Dizzle Brand or go to Etsy.com/shop/Dizzle Brand. And also check out the new Dizzle Brand gummies available on DizzleNova.com. And I'll make sure I will put the link in the description as well. Okay, let's get into it. Draymond Green basically saying that GMs don't know how to draft players, and I don't know that I disagree with him.
Indiana, no way.
Yeah.
Hurricane Indiana,
Oh,
maybe you
that's
would have still
crazy.
been there.
Because think about it, bro. We and G Hill's my guy, but we draft Kawhi, trade him draft day. Like,
Yep.
That's
some
crazy.
shit that they fucked up on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's funny. You know,
Hill's.
And let me chime in real quick. You see how he had to throw that out there real quick, like, because who'd he end up going to play with in L.A.? Kawhi. And the Pacers did trade Kawhi for George Hill. And, I don't know how old Paul George was then, but he was pretty young. I think Kawhi and Paul George timeline would have been close. You know, now we don't know if Kawhi Leonard would have developed in the same way as he did playing for the Pacers, but Yeah. Let's keep it moving.
You knew Miles at 26, so you know everybody that got drafted in front of you.
Oh, for sure.
You know you got the whole list
I
down.
keep tabs on all of them.
That's crazy.
Just be needing to know what's going on.
Who that got drafted ahead of you was like the most ridiculous one to you?
The most ridiculous? Which one?
The most.
I mean, shit. Wow.
I can't wait to hear that.
Listen, not to throw salt at anybody, but like Andrew Nicholson was drafted over me at like 19.
Who? That's the Saint Bonaventure.
Yeah, you don't even know how to pronounce the school. And like
you don't even know how to pronounce the school.
Like we're like at the time, y'all are comparing us as big men who can who can play back to the basket or face up to the basket. But I'm looking at this dude and like, number one, like he don't really look like a basketball player. Like you got like I always tell people when it comes to winning, like a part of like half the battle is looking like a basketball player. When you're on a team and you look down, and you look at the other side of the floor, and if you see guys that don't look like basketball players, you automatically lose respect. And when you lose respect for those guys, you do things to them in the game that you otherwise wouldn't have done if you respected that guy. So that's half the battle. And so I'm like, this guy doesn't really even look like a basketball
he
player.
Didn't fit the bill. He had a weird body shape.
He's weird body shape. And like,
I don't remember.
Like, I don't have the body of Adonis, but like weird body shape, and he like walks like this and like talks like this. And,
he was a bucket though in college.
There's no way that this guy is going to be better than me at basketball. Like I just don't see that. Like he don't have the thing, And so like that was one that really pissed me off. Really pissed me off.
Yeah.
There are several others that went before me. But that was one where I'm like, we're getting compared. I worked out against him a couple times, and I didn't get drafted. Now, another one that really pissed me off, and this one didn't piss me off because I was a better basketball player than him, because he was fucking nice. Royce White. Royce White was super nice, and we did all of the same things. Like Royce, he was more athletic than me, and Royce had big-ass hands.
Yeah.
And super talented. But, like, also another comparison.
Yeah.
And so the reason Royce White pissed me off and getting drafted way before me is not because he wasn't a good basketball player, because I actually believe if he didn't go through the stuff with the mental health that he did, I think he'd still be dominant in the NBA today. But it pissed me off because it's like, all right, we're very similar, and in all of our workouts, we worked out against each other. And like there were some where I destroyed him, but I also remember a couple that he fucking destroyed me. And so I'm just like, all right, well, we're very similar. So if he's the 16th pick, I'm 35?
Yeah, right.
And I know that there's teams throughout the rest of these 19 picks in between, or 18 picks in between. He was either 16 or 18 because Houston and Terrence Jones, 16 and 18, Houston had both. And so I'm like, all right, well,
and think about it, neither one of those draft picks really, Terrence Jones didn't really last that long in the league. Royce White didn't because of mental issues. But I get what he's saying. I'm beating him more times than he's beating me, and we're similar players. Why am I 16 and why is he 16th and I'm like 2 times that down the line on the draft? I'm 30-something. Yeah, man, a lot of these GMs be getting it wrong over and over and over again with these drafts.
These teams in between, y'all see us similar, so like maybe they'll draft me, like none of them draft. So that's why Royce White pisses me off, because I thought we were very, very similar, and we worked out against each other a lot. Yeah. Sometimes he got the best of me. Sometimes I got the best of him. But I'm like, we're really similar. He's 16. I can't be 35.
Right.
So that was one that pissed me off, but for a totally different reason.
I didn't really have everybody I went up against, I got drafted higher than. So I didn't really have no one that like I looked at it and was like, damn, like I should have went over him. Like, cause I didn't work out with nobody, like I say, that got drafted higher than me. But when you look at like, and I'm, shout out Epe Udo, but he gets drafted 6th to the Warriors. What could have been?
Don't
Steph,
even remember him.
Me that year, the following year, Clay, the following year after that, you. What could have been? You know what I mean? Like, and I nice. you gotta think about that shit when.
I wish I was a GM.
I mean,
but this is the thing. Paul George is on the team. They might still be able to get, like, if Paul George gets there, they might still be able to get Steph, right? But who's to say once they get Steph and they got Paul George that they're going to be able to get Clay? Because Clay, they might have a later pick past Clay, and Clay might go at the same. Clay might go the same pick he would have when Golden State was there, and they might actually be picking 3 or 4 picks further down the line because they might be better. And then now you got what? Who's to say that once they got Clay, Steph, and Paul George, that they're not picking like almost very, very last. So like, it sounds good, these what ifs, coulda, shoulda, woulda. But they're not always realistic. Because would they been able to pay all these cats? I don't know.
I think it worked out, obviously, me going 10th to Indiana, but when you think about it, it was like, damn, that could have been a crazy, like, Warriors was on some shit if they did that.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody always act like they got everything right. One thing I respect about Bob Myers is Bob say, Draymond can't be that smart, because if we were, we would have drafted you 7th when we had the 7th pick, or even 30th when we had the 30th pick. So Draymond, we can't be that smart, but we got it right eventually.
Yeah.
I appreciate Bob for that. But no, smart. I think
who did they grab 7th? Who did y'all draft 7th?
Harrison Barnes.
HB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harrison Barnes.
Which was a good pickup.
A good pick, and he's had a really good career.
We're in Sacramento right now, right?
But they got it wrong because he's not still in Golden State, and I am.
Right.
And I get that. And that's the thing, though. Harrison Barnes, I remember when Harrison Barnes came out of high school, and they literally had like a live thing where he picked what team he was going to go to, and he ended up going to the Tar Heels. But for a number 1 pick out of high school, which was probably the first time we got a number 1 pick out of high school, the North Carolina Tar Heels, he didn't pan out to be really that as good as he was advertised in college. And I'm not saying he had a bad college career. He had a pretty good one, but we didn't get a championship with him there. And he was actually expected to be like a number 1 pick going into the NBA because he was supposed to be number 1 coming out of college. But he even fell all the way down to 7th because he didn't pan out to be as good as advertised coming out of high school into college, and not saying he's a scrub or a scrub now because he's had a decent career. He's already won a championship. He was the 4th best guy on a championship team, maybe the 5th best. He's been a good contributor, averaging 15 to 19 a night, for the Mavs and then now the Kings. But let's keep it moving. A little bit left.
So you got it a little wrong.
Right.
Now, Harrison wasn't a bust, so it doesn't ring off as like wrong, right?
Exactly.
Because like I said, Harrison had a really damn good career, make $300 million. So it's not like you just failed. But you kind of got it wrong, though.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a tad. Yeah. And then Festus Ezeli was 30th, which Festus, that's my guy. And Festus got derailed by injuries. Knees is.
All right, so, yeah, you heard that. Draymond talking about, GMs getting it wrong. That's the thing. I always stress this. Really, only one team gets superstar free agents, and that's really mainly the Lakers. The Knicks have never really got a big superstar free agent, except maybe Maury Stoudemire, and his knees went out on him. Carmelo was traded there. Even the Lakers, that's the thing. Big market teams can always trade for superstars and win championships. Miami got LeBron as a free agent and Chris Bosh. They got Jimmy Butler. They got Shaq in a trade. It isn't a lot of teams that big superstar free agents will go to and play for. There's just not a lot. There's really maybe a couple out there, that's the thing. You can't really name none past the Lakers and Miami. All small market teams, they have to win in the draft. They have to draft the first best player, the second best player, and third best player. Golden State, draft Curry, draft Clay, draft Draymond. Denver Nuggets, draft Jokic. They draft Murray. They draft Porter Jr. If you look at now, back in the days, it used to be different. The Lakers always win how the Lakers win. But Boston, they drafted a lot of their players to get where they were at. The Bulls, they drafted their top two players to build their dynasty, Pippen and Jordan. I think Horace Grant came over from the Bullets, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got drafted by the Washington Bullets at the time. But you at least got to draft, I would say, at least your top two players nowadays in a small market team. Boston drafted both of their top two players, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. When you look at San Antonio, when they won their dynasties, their championships, their little dynasty kind of run, they drafted Parker, they drafted David Robinson, drafted Tim Duncan, they drafted Ginobili. They drafted most of these guys, man. In small market teams, if you don't hit on the draft, what are we talking about? OKC's been doing really good. They drafted Josh Giddey, panning out. They drafted Jalen Williams, look like he's going to pan out. Chet Holmgren, if he's anything what he is in summer league in regular season, he's going to pan out. They drafted him. They traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but they traded for him when he was on a rookie contract. And that's another thing. You could trade small market teams. If you're going to trade to get a guy that's a potential superstar, you got to trade for him while he's on a rookie contract, like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm a Charlotte Hornets guy. Charlotte Hornets, the biggest name player that Charlotte Hornets were able to get as a free agent, just a free agent signing, not a trade, but free agent signing, was Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is the biggest name free agent ever signed with the Hornets. They traded for the biggest trade they ever pulled off was Al Jefferson from the Jazz to the Bobcats. They were the Charlotte Bobcats there. And he put up 2010 2 straight years, but his knees went out on him. They drafted Larry Johnson, drafted Alonzo Mourning, they drafted LaMelo Ball, and they drafted Kemba Walker. And out of all of those, I will probably say Kemba Walker's probably been the biggest difference maker so far, but I think LaMelo Ball has the potential to be the biggest difference maker. But GMs, they get it wrong a lot, man. Think about it. T-Wolves the year Curry. T-Wolves drafted Ricky Rubio and somebody Flint. Something Flint. Before, and then Curry went later. They drafted 2 point guards back to back and could have drafted Curry. You think about Portland Trailblazers could have drafted Jordan. See, a lot of times these teams get into this position where they want to draft for need. Think about a Portland would have drafted Jordan to go with Clyde. They could have made it work. Clyde could have went to small forward. Think about I think if Orlando would have kept Chris Webber instead of Penny Hardaway, I think they might could have had a better chance of winning that championship against Houston. You know, Shaq, Chris Webber, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, and just go get a point guard. It really doesn't matter at this point. But I'm trying to think of some other ones that they dudes drafted for need. Portland. Not Portland Pistons. The Pistons should have drafted Carmelo Anthony or Dwayne Wade. I think they had the number 2 pick that year. Yeah, they drafted Darko Milicic, and it was LeBron, Darko, and then Carmelo. That was kind of like the year it was with the Jordan draft, when it was Akeem, Sam Bowie, and Jordan. You know, but the Pistons could have drafted Carmelo or Dwayne Wade, and I think they would have won back-to-back championships. And Dwayne Wade would have really, really been the guy to draft there. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of times these cats get it wrong over and over again. Sometimes they drafted for need, or they drafted for potential. That's like Miami drafted this guy, Jaime Vasquez or something like that, I think his name is. And a lot of people didn't want to draft him high because he went 4 years in college. But when you look at him in summer league, he just came out and just dominated because he's got so much experience and he's got an NBA ready body that he looked like he's ready to go right now. Right now. You know what I'm saying? And I personally think they need to do like the NFL and make college basketball players play at least 3 years. They're making money with the NIL anyways in college. Or they go to the G League for 3 years, or you go to the college for 3 years. Either way, they're going to make enough money to make a living, and a decent amount of living, especially the NIL. Yeah, man, Draymond's got it right. GMs, they need to draft better, especially small market teams, or you never stand a chance of doing anything. You know, so get it right. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Paul Pickett Podcast, and I'm out.